Hello and welcome to CISSP Exam Prep Part 1. My name is Mark Edmead and I'll be your instructor. If at any point you have any questions, please go to the question and comment box. In this module, we're going to cover just the course introduction. This is the part where I'm going to teach you about what it is to take the CISSP and the things that you need to do in order to get ready for the test. There are 4 parts of the certification process for the CISSP. The first part is the examination. And this part is where you actually sign up for the test, where you select the exam date and time. You can go to isscsquared.org for that information. Then you have to pay the examination fee. There's also a part where you have to make sure that you have the right experience and background to sit for the exam. The CISSP requires that you have 5 years of professional experience in the information security field or 4 years plus a college A degree. You could also have an advanced degree in information security from the National Center of Excellence or something that is equivalent, and that can be substituted towards the 5 years. Then there's an exam agreement that you need to complete. And then there's a 4-question background information about your history, about your background, that also needs to be part of the examination process. In order to be issued a certificate, as a candidate, you need to pass the CISSP exam, which is why we're here. You need to score at least 700 points or greater. Then you need to complete and submit a complete and executed endorsement form. And I'll explain what that is a little bit later. Then you might be selected to be audited. And that means that the ISC² might audit you to make sure that you have the completed requirements and experience, and they might go to some of the people that you used as a reference in your application to make sure that you do have the required experience. The endorsement is only done after you take the exam. So once you have passed the exam, you will need to have somebody endorse you as a candidate. This could be somebody that has a CISSP, or somebody that you have worked with, or somebody that you have worked for. It's basically a form that they fill out saying that they know who you are and that you have the appropriate experience to have the CISSP exam. Without this endorsement, you will not get the actual CISSP, even though you have passed the CISSP exam. So the candidate must be in good standing with the information security industry, which means that you shouldn't have anything negative in your record that could come back and be something that is negative. Now, some candidates may be randomly selected for an audit. This is where they will review your information, they will talk to the endorser, they might talk to your employer just to verify your educational background and your work history. So now that you have your CISSP, there's some requirements for maintaining that certification. Recertification is required every 3 years. So what's involved with that? Well, number one, you need to have at least 120 reoccurring of these credits in order to maintain it in good standing. These credits are what we call the CPEs. So which means that when you attend a conference, when you read a book, or whatever other types of things that you can do in the information security world, you can get these CPEs. So you have to have 120 for the 3 years. Then that means that you have to have a minimum of 120 CPEs posted every year, and you can do this straight on the website. Then there's an annual fee that is currently $85 that needs to be paid in order to maintain the certification. So for this course, we're going to divide this into 2 parts. Right now we're in part 1. For part 1, we're going to review the 5 of what we call the CISSP Common Body of Knowledge. So we're going to cover these parts: information security and risk management, security architecture and design, access control, application security, and operations security. Then we're going to work on preparing you for this certification. So I'm going to give you some tips and some tricks and some things in order for you to get ready to take the test. The test itself is actually a 6-hour exam which has 250 questions. So there's certainly some things that I can tell you from my experience and experience of other of my students that have sat through the test that can make that process go a little bit better. So let's go through and talk about the course objectives. First, we're going to talk about the definition of access controls. What are some of the best practices? We're going to define what access control means. We're going to talk about information security as it relates to confidentiality, integrity, and availability. We're also going to look at the principles of information security management, because one of the things that an organization must need to worry about is putting together a comprehensive security management program in order for them to deal with some of the security issues that the company might be facing. Then we're going to talk about applications, because some of the most vulnerable areas that an organization has in the applications that it's either developing or applications that it's using as part of its everyday work. Maybe your organization is involved in software development, so we're going to talk about the development of security controls within the software development process. And then we're going to talk about operations from a larger perspective, some of the controls and best practices to keep your operations secure. So again, part of the prerequisites for the course is that we're hoping that you have already some background in information security. This is a very fast-paced type of a course. You're already expected to have some of the basic knowledge. We don't expect you to know everything in all of the domains, but at least if you have a basic understanding in information security, you're going to go a long way. Then we're hoping that you're going to not only attend this course, but also read other materials and get more familiar with some of the information security concepts that is going out there. So here's some of the module topics. Number one, we're going to start with the need for security. Why is it that information security is so important within an organization? Now, there's also data that we have to work with. And you have data perhaps that's on your computers, you have data that's on paper. We're going to talk about how to classify that information, because some information may be secret or top secret or confidential or unclassified. And in order for us to really determine the posture that an organization is going to have as it relates to information security, we're going to talk about how to classify the information so we're protecting the right information. An organization really lives and breathes information security because of the security policy. In other words, what is the posture that the organization has as it relates to the security? Everything has to come from the policy. So we're going to talk about what a policy is, how to design an effective policy, and also how to implement it. Then once we have that, then we're going to talk about the access control or the access to the data. Some people might have full access, some people might have limited access. So we're going to talk about how to frame that into the area so that it meets the security policy, and also to talk about the controls that you can use to limit or restrict access to sensitive information. That also involves learning about access control models. Perhaps somebody can read, again, somebody can write. So we're going to talk about that as it relates to the access control models. And then we're going to talk about user access. In other words, who has access to what within the environment. Then we're going to talk about computer architecture basics, basically talking about what is RAM and what is the CPU and how do the computers work. Very, very basic in this area. And some of the security considerations when it comes to the security architecture. Some security architectures need to be more secure. If you're working in a data center and you're working with very sensitive data, you would expect that the computer security architecture is going to be more secure than perhaps something on your laptop. So we're going to talk about the security configurations and considerations. We're going to talk about the development process and how to design a computer environment that is very secure. We're going to talk about the software life cycle. We're going to talk about data warehousing. This is where you have all of that information. And we're going to talk about that. And then again, talk about operations security and those controls that are related to that. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the question and the comment box. And look forward to seeing you in the next module. Thank you for joining us.